You've landed in the confidence zone with Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach. This is a place for topics of information and inspiration, a place to support you to find your confidence, get bold, and get going. Activation is needed today at all levels. Don't wait for someone else to lead. Lead now where you are with what you have. Your energy and enthusiasm matters. Believe it or not, it impacts all of us. Find your confidence, get bold, and get going.
Hello, friends. I am happy to be live in the confidence zone. I'm feeling a little emotional today because today I will be recording the last episode of a 12-part special podcast series that I sponsored with my business. This podcast series is called Alcohol Moderation, No More Shame and Blame. If you've been watching this series, you're going to know where I'm coming from here. Dr. Michelle Perron, an alcohol moderation expert, found me online. I don't know how these magic things happened, how one of my videos got into her algorithm, but she saw my video on AI addiction and she contacted me, a completely cold email. I don't know how her email broke through, and I don't know how or why I per se clicked on it to choose to read it. When I did, I was a bit skeptical of her conversation about alcohol moderation. I have had my own personal experience with alcohol addiction, and I frankly wasn't sure that I could believe her claims that there could be something called alcohol moderation. At my age and life stage, I know that my old type A black and white concrete thinking did not serve me that well. I have worked deeply to transform myself to at least be able to ask with curiosity, what if there is something to this thesis that seems so foreign and strange to me? What if there is something there? I invited her to a personal conversation, which we had off the record, just an actual, interactive Zoom call. And again, I made a choice to listen and to open to the conversation of what she was sharing. At that time, it was hard for me to listen to it, but I knew somehow I allowed myself to believe my intuition that this would be worthy of a special podcast series that I would be choosing to sponsor with my business, Axelrod Confidence Coaching. Michelle got to work on the material. I'm not the expert, I'm the interviewer. At that time, we made a plan, which is how I help people in their businesses. And she shared with me the outline, the outline ideas for the whole video series. And I read through it and I got it. That was my final yes. When I read the outline, I saw that she was the real deal herself, that she was clearly an expert, and then further, that she showed up to really provide the information. I offer this opportunity to a lot of people, and they're not ready. They're too scared. They're afraid of me, or their lives are just too messy to be able to do this. Not so with Michelle. The first episode that we have that in the series, I frankly said, I challenged her and I said, what is this thing and why do you think it's real? Like, tell me about it, because I think there's a massive global need for this conversation if it's a real thing. Over the course of the 11 episodes that we've had so far, my mind has completely shifted. I feel like my energy has shifted to create a new paradigm. I listened, I opened, I have been studying this topic very deeply, very extensively for several years now, from very many angles: psychological, physiological, and neurological. And so I had a lot of challenges, a lot of questions. And frankly, if you watch this entire, what will be a 12-part series, you're going to see that I shed tears along the way. Today, we are recording our last episode, and I feel sad and emotional. But I know that its time is coming to an end, that we have created material that can change your life. If you're looking at anything with the word alcohol in it, and you personally, just for you personally, not about anyone else, but for you personally, if you know what you know about your own use, if you question your own use, if you wonder about your use, if you know that you're good during the week and you binge on weekends, if you know that you can't, you have a now physical association, you walk in the door and the first thing you do is open the fridge, grab a beer, or after you change while you're getting dinner ready, the first thing you do is pour your wine, and so on. You're going to hear Michelle speak very directly about these practices. And this series is embedded with tools and conversation that is non-judgmental. One of the things I've learned is how much you either might or definitely judge yourself. It's bad enough how much other people judge you. I know what that's about. But the way you judge yourself is part of a big problem for you. This podcast is for you. This podcast series is for you if you see yourself here or feel yourself here in anything I've said today. I want to invite you to breathe with me and to know that if you're listening to this and you see someone else in this conversation, someone you love deeply, someone you've been trying to help, and someone who is in extreme difficulty, I just want to say I'm sending my love to you personally. To some extent, I understand what you're suffering. To some extent, I know that story, and it's the hardest story of all. Now, to be clear, I don't talk about anything I don't know. I don't know anything about drug addiction personally, but I do know the symptoms and experience could be similar. But this conversation particularly is about alcohol use during our time. I am aware that for some people, if not many people, that every day that we wake up, the minute you open your eyes, the anxiety of our time begins to fill in. For some of you, it may be hard. You may be paralyzed for a moment to even get out of bed or to want to get out of bed. All the things going on in your life, I'm not going to try to guess all the things going on in your life, but suffice to say, in that moment, or the moment that you may make it through your day, all the way through, holding yourself together, doing a great job, and then getting home to the relief of the feeling that alcohol offers you every day without fail. Or if you've moved from, one or two glasses of wine to a bottle of wine a night, I want to invite you to come into this journey. Go back, go to the first episode and listen. Move to the second episode and listen. I want to let you know that I do not have the problem of over using alcohol or misusing alcohol myself. I could have after my freshman year of college. Somehow, by grace, I was lucky to not continue that pattern after that 1 year. But I know there are many people that have practices that were set up decades ago. And you're going to hear about all that and so much more in this series. If any of this resonates with you, again, I invite you to listen one time and then even listen a second time with a pen and pad or your journal, and listen a second time all the way through all 12 episodes. Even though we're recording our 12th today, I already know it's going to be a good one. Listen all the way through. Take your journal and ask yourself, is this me? Do I see myself here? Do I hear myself here? Does any of this apply to me? And finally, I want to invite you to love yourself more. These are difficult times. The most difficult, I'm 63 years old, the most difficult of my lifetime. And I don't know what the future is going to hold. I am a Qigong practitioner and teacher and a Tai Chi practitioner and teacher. So I know the benefit of coming in and really using any mindfulness practice that speaks to you to settle your soul, settle your mind, settle your breath, and support your spirit. I do know the benefit of that, but I also know, because of empathy, that I could feel how hard that might be for anyone who might be listening to me today. It's very important that we find our ground. You're going to hear Michelle say, alcohol is not just a beverage. And then from there, she goes on episode after episode to offer tools and paradigm shifting ideas, such that by now, I believe it is possible to live using alcohol. I don't say drinking alcohol anymore. I say using it, because it is a drug. And even though it's mostly innocent use, oftentimes it starts innocently and leads to more, grabbing you, even if you're not in conscious awareness of it. Michelle says you can use alcohol to celebrate, not to obliterate. And we're going to be talking about that today. And so I do know that there is hope for you. It is not hopeless. And I know that because I've had people privately message me and tell me, this podcast series, the conversation between you and Michelle, changed my life. I see myself differently. I've changed my practice. I know I may have a way to go, but I know that I'm on the path I want to be on, not a path that addiction is roping me into or spiraling me down into. So, my friends, thank you for joining me today. I have a link to this important podcast series in the notes here, and I invite you to listen to it for yourself, share it out if you feel it's relevant, and most of all, breathe, 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 and love yourself more. Okay, my friends, this is it. Today we'll be recording the last episode, but as I already said to someone in a private message conversation, she said to me, I'm so sad that it's going to be over, because I love listening to you and Michelle. And I said to her, I'm going to be listening to the entire series myself from start to finish with my own journal, listening and integrating the lessons embedded. And I invited her to do the same. And so this podcast series will continue, and it will be there and available for you if you need on my YouTube channel. Okay, my friends, that's it for today. See you next time in the Confidence Zone.